everybody. Decided to come on a little early. Kind of grabbed this box. There we go. I got it. Box of socks. I don't know who else has boxes of socks, but I do, of course. Live on Facebook and YouTube both. Yeah, I hope everybody's having a great day. I don't know, I'd say my video is starting. Thank you, Lily. Give people time to come in.
All the water jugs, we're going to fill them before we leave. Okay, so.
Hello, Ray. Thank you for coming in. Glad to see you here. Here, let some people come in and then start the meeting instead of just starting and nobody being here. So, hopefully, everybody is having a fun and safe holiday weekend. And thank you to all the troops, all service members for their sacrifices that they make for our country. And those who are still serving, I appreciate you guys for putting yourselves on the line to keep me and everybody else safe. Without you guys, we probably wouldn't be here right now. So thank you a million for that. Oh, that's good. Hopefully you had a good time being out of town. It's always nice to be able to leave town for a few days. I'm excited about next month, the end of the month, because I'm getting out of town. Super excited about that. I get to go out of town for a whole week and just up on the mountain, gonna be quiet and yeah, just being without all the chaos of the city. That's good. I'm glad. It's always good when you get a break from being home and doing the hustle and bustle of everything. Yeah. Could be nice. So I accidentally put on there that we are on page 48. We're actually on page 49. Just so you all know, we're reading the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions book. But couple more minutes. I've been doing a lot of fishing lately. Hopefully I can catch a salmon or a steelhead. It would be great. I like steelhead. I'm not sure about salmon anymore, but The only kind of fish that I've cooked is catfish, and I deep fry that. So I haven't been catfishing for 14 years. Couple more minutes. Wow, that's crazy. I'd be fishing every day. Had a pond with fish in it. That's one of my hobbies I like to do all the time is go fishing. It's been quite a while, a few years since I've been able to go fishing. So this year I was like, I'm getting my fishing license and I'm getting my tags and I'm going fishing. All right, let's get going. I'm Sandra and I'm an alcoholic. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Please be mindful in the comments and the chat. Please don't be judging each other and don't harass people that are in the chat because they may not be the alcoholic who suffers or be the recovering alcoholic. They might be here to support my channel or help a friend and family member to become sober or ways to better support someone going through the recovery. Just be mindful of all those things and feel free to chat. Hi, John Talker. I haven't seen you for a long time. So I get the steps and the traditions out of the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions book. And that's where I get my steps in and I read them and I do the big book as well. We just finished the big book and got on to the steps and traditions. So, but yeah. Oh, your closed caption is on? But then that means if you can't hear me, you can read it. It's my sponsor talking. 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all defective characters. 7. Humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. 9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10. Continue to take personal inventory and when wrong, promptly admit it. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Well, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Also, in the descriptions, I put what book we're reading, what page we're on, what storyline or step or tradition we're on. So it's there if you want to follow along with your own book, you can, but you don't have to. I'm going to read it and talk about how I work that step for me and all of that stuff. So we're going to start at so when. So when AA suggests a fearless moral inventory, it must seem to every newcomer that more is being asked of him than he can do. Both his pride and his fear beat him back every time he tries to look within himself. Pride says, "You need not pass this way," and fear says, "You dare not look." But the testimony of AAs who have really tried a moral inventory is that pride and fear of that sort turn out to be boogeymen, nothing else. Once we have a complete willingness to take inventory and exert ourselves to do the job thoroughly, a wonderful light falls upon this foggy scene. As we persist, a brand new kind of confidence is born, and a sense of relief is finally facing ourselves is incredible. These are the first fruits of step 4. By now, the newcomer has probably arrived at the following conclusions: that his character defect, representing instinct gone astray, have been a primary cause of his drinking and his failure at life. That unless he is now willing to work hard at the elimination of the work of these defects, both sobriety and peace amid will still elude him. That all the faulty foundations of his life will have to be torn out and built anew on bedrock. Now, willing to commence the search for his own defects, he will ask, just how do I go about this? How do I take inventory of myself? Let me drink your water. Thank you. Since step 4 is but the beginning of a lifetime practice, it can be suggested that he first have a look at those personal flaws which are acutely troublesome and fairly obvious. Using his best judgment of what has been right and what has been wrong, he might make a rough survey of his conduct with respect of his primary instincts for sex, security, and society. Looking back over his life, he can readily get underway by consideration of questions such as these: when and how and in just what instances did my selfish pursuit of the sex relation damage other people and my marriage and injure my children? Did I jeopardize my standing in the community? Just how did I react to these situations at the time? Did I burn with guilt that nothing could extinguish? Or did I did I insist that I was the pursued and not the pursuer, and thus absolve myself? How have I reacted to frustration in sexual matters? When denied, did I become vengeful or depressed? Did I take it out on other people? If there was rejection or coldness at home, did I use this as a reason for prom- promise? I don't know this word. I probably lost it. This one.
Promiscuity.
Promiscuity. I have my good reader here.
Kinda.
Also of importance for most alcoholics are the questions they must ask about their behavior respecting financial and emotional security. In these areas, fear, greed, possessiveness, and pride have too often done their worst. Surveying his business or employment record, almost any alcoholic can ask questions like these. In addition to my drinking problem, what character defects contributed to my financial instability? Did fear and impurity about my fitness, for my job, destroy my confidence and fill me with conflict? Did I try to cover up those feelings of inadequacy by bluffing, cheating, lying, or evading responsibility? Or by gripping that others failed to recognize my truly ex- explanation abilities? Did I overvalue myself and play the big shot? Did I have such unprincipled ambition that I double crossed and undercut my associates? Was I exaggerate? Did I recklessly borrow money, caring little whether it was rapid or not? Was I a pinch penny, refusing to support my family properly? Did I cut corners financially? What about the quick money, deals, the stock market, and races? Business women in AA will naturally find that many of these questions apply to them too. But the alcoholic housewife can also make the family financially insecure. She can juggle charge accounts, manipulate the food budget, spend her afternoons gambling, and run her husband into debt by irresponsibility, waste, and extravagance. But all alcoholics who have drunk themselves out of job, family, and friends will never or will need to cross examine themselves ruthlessly to determine how their own personality defects have thus demolished their security. The next common symptom of emotional insecurity are worry, anger, self pity, and depression. These stem from causes which sometimes seem to be within us, and at other times to come from without. To take inventory in the respect we ought to consider carefully all personal relationships which bring continuous or recurring trouble. It should be remembered that this kind of insecurity may arise in any area where instincts are threatened. Questioning directed to this end might run like this: looking at both past and present, what sex situation have caused me anxiety, bitterness, frustration, or depression? Appraising each situation fairly, can I see where I have been at fault? Did these perplexities beset me because of selfishness or unreasonable demands? Or is my disturbance or if my disturbance was seemingly caused by the behavior of others, why do I lack the ability to accept conditions I cannot change? These are the sort of fundamental inquiries that can disclose the source of my discomfort and indicate whether I may be able to alter my own conduct and so adjust myself serenely to self discipline. Suppose that financial insecurity constantly arouses these same feelings. I can ask myself, to what extent have my own mistakes fed my, my gnawing anxiety, and if the actions of others are part of the cause, what can I do about that? If I am unable to change the present state of affairs, am I willing to take the measures necessary to shape my life to conditions as they are? Questions like these are more which will come to mind easily in each individual case, will help turn up the root cause. But it is for our twisted relations with family, friends, and society at large that many of us have suffered the most. We have been especially stupid and stubborn about them. The primary fact that we fail to recognize is our total inability to form a true partnership with another human being, or egomania digs to disastrous pitfalls. Either we insist upon dominating the people we know or we depend upon them far too much. If we lean too heavily on people, they will sooner or later fail us. For they are human too, and cannot possibly meet our insistent demands. In this way, our insecurity grows and festers. When we habitually try to manipulate others to our own willful desires, they revolt and resist us heavily. Then we develop hurt feelings and sense of persecution and a desire to retaliate. As we redouble our efforts at control, quit, copper, stop, and do, and continue to fail, our suffering becomes acute and constant. We have not once sought to be one in a family, to be a friend among friends, to be a worker among workers, to be a useful member of society. Always we try to struggle to the top of the heap or to hide underneath it. This self centered behavior blocked a partnership relation. with any one of those about us. A true brotherhood, we had small comprehension. Some will object to many of the questions posed because they think their own character defects have not been so glaring. To these, it can be suggested that a consistent examination is likely to reveal the very defects the objectionable questions are concerned with. Because our surface record hasn't looked too bad, we have frequently been abashed to find this is so simply because we have buried these self same defects deep down in under thick layers of self justification. Whatever the defects they have finally ambushed us into alcoholism and misery. Therefore, thoroughness ought to be the watchword when taking inventory. In this connection, it is wise to write out our questions and answers. It will be an aid to clear thinking and honest appraisal. It will be the first tangible evidence of our complete willingness to move forward. Like I keep saying, step four was my worst step. I did not want to do step four. I kept telling my sponsor, I'm working on it, I'm working on it, I'm working on it, and I wasn't. I started writing one day and I left it. I got asked again, I'd write a little more. Guys, it took me like 3 months to do my fourth step. So take as long as you need to work on your steps because there's no time limit. And I'm happy about having however much time it takes for me to work on those things because most of the time I just want to run away from problems or hide myself from them. And I still find myself judging others when I shouldn't be. And I always have to make amends for that. And it's just something I've learned to deal with right off. Um, I do ask my sponsor, what should I say about getting through this part of this step? Because my sponsor knows a lot about my childhood, um, friends that I've had, just my alcoholic days were crazy as hell. Really super crazy. And the stupid thing is, there's only one blackout part that I don't remember, and that was smashing my face up against the stove. That's the only part that I don't remember. I remember my alcohol days, believe me, except for that day. They all said that I said my sister did it. I don't remember saying that. And that night, I decided I was going to get sober, but I'd have more alcohol that night. And I got sober on my own. And I went sober for a year. I didn't know anything about, I knew about AA, but I didn't know any of the steps or anything. Because the only time I ever heard about AA was going to an AA meeting with my alcoholic father. My birth father, that is. And so I didn't think to even look for a solution for helping me get sober. So that year, I struggled to get through my withdrawals on my own. Um, of course, I had my family. I did really good for a year, and I didn't. I had something that I was using to keep myself sober, and that was I was wearing a necklace that my mom gave me, and it had the Lord's Prayer in it. And so I wore that for a year, and I didn't drink. When I took it off, I went back out and I started drinking. And I didn't quit again for another year and a half, maybe 2 years, I think. They could have been longer than that, but um, the last time I got sober, we were living off grid, and I have been drinking there. I admit it. I'm a recovering alcoholic. Of course, I'm drinking. But I got sober on November 15th of 2014. And it had been a struggle. And I'm still doing the same stupid, running my mouth about stupid shit and causing problems and just not giving a hoot who was in my past. Um, because I didn't have a solution on how to get myself to not react in those ways. And I was still a big capital B. I'll admit it. Yes, I was. I still can be on days. Most days I am by myself, being quiet, minding my own business. Except for lately I've been at the river fishing. But I'm clearing my head out there while I'm fishing and thinking about, you know, what my next things I want to do, where I'm going to go from here, and what I'm going to work on for my AA meetings here. Because I'm always contemplating if I should keep doing the meetings or if I should stop. And I have so many friends from here that say keep going. I have my Mama J up in Evan still saying use that voice, and that's what I that's what I've been choosing to do is use my voice and still work my steps. And I don't talk to my sponsor on the daily, but I do see her here, and I do uh, message her every so often. And it's knowing that I have that person that I can contact if I have any questions about what my next thing is that I need to do, that I should think about, because you don't always realize that you still have those things back there. Like I have things from my childhood that only my sponsor knows, or only my twin sister knows. My husband knows most of it. But there's been life things go on that I do remember, and I've never forgotten them. And it one reason why I always said I wouldn't become that alcoholic. I would took your water. I didn't grab water. But step 4 You're gonna think it's a nuisance and you don't want to do it. You're gonna like be no, I don't have any of those things, and really, dude, you just have to lift your head and let it go. The dog's been stinky lately. He's got some allergic reaction going on, and I cannot find what works. But anyway, so like step part for me was the struggle bus, and when I first started going to AA, wouldn't stay at the whole meeting because I would like get embarrassed when it came to my turn to talk. Yeah, and look at me now. I'm doing meetings myself. But I wouldn't stay for a whole meeting. And of course, when I first started AA, my sponsor gave me a big book. This big book right here. No, this is not the same one because she taught me something that I continue on doing. Um, so I went downtown to City Hall and I sat on the bench out there and I was looking through the big book, thinking this is a giant book and I'm never going to end up reading the whole thing, right? Well, then, while I'm sitting there, this guy comes across the street from the gas station. And he sits next to me and I'm like looking through it, holding it, like. And this guy looks at me and goes, "Oh, hey, huh? Mind you, he has a brown paper sack. He just came from the gas station that sells beer." And I was thinking, wait a minute, this dude is saying something about AA, and here he is sitting with a beer and a paper bag like I don't know what it is. I'm like, yeah, I just started AA. And he's like, "Oh, what step have you made it to?" And I said, none of them. And he goes, "Well, step 11 is the hardest." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So when I made it to step 11, I was like, that one's easy. The hard one for me was step 4. I procrastinated that thing forever. But finally, I sat down in my truck and decided I was going to write my fourth step. And after I did that, I held on to it for a while, and I finally asked my sponsor. I said, "What do I do with this?" And at the time, I was camp hosting, so I was always having campfires. And after she read them and pointed out the ones that I needed to make my amends for, she said, "Now, the other ones, there's nothing you can do to change it because that is not your fault." And I was like, okay, so that lifted a ton of weight. Those things, not everybody needs to know about. So I held on to them for a while, and I finally asked her, I said, "Now what do I do with this?" And she's like, "Take them back and burn them." So I took them back to camp and I burnt them. Now I have not forgotten those things. I never will. And that both those people have since passed on. Well, more than 2 have passed on. And all I can say is when they got to where they're going, I wonder if they finally admitted it. Yeah. Because they both had amends to make as well because they were alcoholics too. And they both died alcoholics. And, it sucks. But I didn't have to make that amends. That wasn't mine to make. And having a sponsor helped me realize that. And step four didn't need to be so complicated and so hard. And now I just make amends as I go, so I don't have to keep going over it. And it works. And here I am sitting 10 years later, still sober, still living. Might be struggling, but I'm still here and I'm still sober. And that's important. Because if I go back to drinking, I probably ain't going to come back out. And I know I don't have to take that drink. And I can go day to day just being me. And the sober me, not the drunk one. So, but it really works. I'm going to read the daily reflection and then go make my dinner. May 25th, Progressive Gratitude. What? We just read that one. Gratitude should go forward rather than backwards. As Bill sees it, page 29. I am very grateful that my higher power has given me a second chance to live a worthwhile life. Through Alcoholics Anonymous, I have been restored to sanity. The promises are being fulfilled in my life. I am grateful to be free from the slavery of alcohol. I am grateful for peace of mind and opportunity to grow. But my gratitude should go forward rather than backward. I cannot stay sober on yesterday's meeting or past 12 steps calls. I need to put my gratitude into action today. Our co-founder said our gratitude can best be shown by carrying the message to others. Without action, my gratitude is just a pleasant emotion. I need to put into action by working 12 steps or step 12 by carrying the message and practicing the principles in all my affairs. I'm grateful for the chance to carry the message today. That's why I do these meetings, is so I can share the gift I was given of sobriety to keep sober, to share it with all of you guys here. And it's been worth every day of being sober. And with that, I'm going to say the Trinity prayer and let you guys finish out your weekend. God, grant me Trinity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Keep coming back. It works. It's working. Love you guys. Stay safe out there.